The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. In the smoky haze of a London morning, John Worthing, known to his city friends as Jack, lounged in the elegant flat of his friend Algernon Moncrieff. The room was a picture of Victorian opulence, polished mahogany, velvet cushions, and a silver cigarette case gleaming on the table. Jack, a man of about 29 with a serious air, fidgeted as Algernon, a dandy with a mischievous glint in his eye, strummed idly at the piano. "Really, Algy," Jack said, tossing his gloves onto a chair, "must you play such dreary tunes?" Algernon grinned, abandoning the piano to light a cigarette. "I play what suits my mood, dear boy. Now, why are you in town? I thought you were buried in the country with that ward of yours, Cecily, isn't it?" Jack nodded, explaining he'd come to see Gwendolen Fairfax, Algernon's cousin, whom he intended to propose to. Algernon, ever the skeptic, raised an eyebrow. "Proposing? How frightfully dull. But first, explain this." He held up Jack's cigarette case, inscribed with the words, "From little Cecily, with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack." Jack flushed. "That's private, Algy. I'm Cecily's guardian, nothing more." But Algernon wasn't satisfied. Pressing Jack, he uncovered a curious secret. In the country, Jack was a respectable guardian named John Worthing, but in London, he adopted the name Ernest to indulge in a bit of freedom. Ernest. Algernon laughed. What a splendid name for mischief. He admitted to a similar ruse, inventing an ill friend named Bunbury, whom he visited whenever he wished to escape social obligations. Their banter was interrupted by the arrival of Lady Bracknell, Algernon's formidable aunt, and her daughter, Gwendolen. Lady Bracknell, a towering figure in rustling silk, swept into the room, her voice sharp as a blade. Gwendolen, poised and radiant, cast a subtle glance at Jack, who felt his heart quicken. Algernon, sensing the moment, ushered Lady Bracknell to the dining room for tea, leaving Jack and Gwendolen alone. "Miss Fairfax," Jack began, his voice unsteady, "I've admired you for so long. Will you marry me?" Gwendolen's eyes sparkled. "Yes, Mr. Worthing. Ernest, I mean. I've always felt I could only love a man named Ernest. It has such a music to it." Jack, thrilled yet uneasy about his false name, barely had time to rejoice before Lady Bracknell returned. She fixed him with a stare that could curdle cream and demanded to know his credentials. Jack admitted he was a foundling, discovered as a baby in a handbag at Victoria Station. Lady Bracknell was horrified. "A handbag," she gasped, as if the word itself were an insult. Declaring Jack unfit for her daughter, she forbade the engagement and swept Gwendolen out of the flat. Undeterred, Jack resolved to return to his country home, Manor House in Hertfordshire, to plan his next move. Meanwhile, Algernon, intrigued by Jack's tales of Cecily, hatched a plan. Using the address from the cigarette case, he decided to visit Jack's estate, posing as the mysterious Ernest Worthing. At Manor House, the summer air was sweet with roses, and 18-year-old Cecily Cardew sat in the garden, dreaming over her diary. She was a romantic girl, tutored by the prim Miss Prism, who was herself distracted by the attentions of Dr. Chasuble, the local rector. When Algernon arrived, announcing himself as Ernest, Cecily was enchanted. She confessed she'd long been in love with the idea of Jack's wicked brother Ernest, whom she'd imagined from Jack's stories. By the time they shared a pot of tea, Cecily had accepted Algernon's impromptu proposal, declaring she could only love a man named Ernest. Back in London, Jack, unaware of Algernon's escapade, visited Gwendolen at her mother's house. She reaffirmed her love for Ernest, leaving Jack more determined to resolve his name dilemma. He decided to return to the country and have himself christened as Ernest to secure her affection. At Manor House, chaos erupted when Jack arrived to find Algernon masquerading as his non-existent brother. Furious, Jack demanded Algernon leave, but the situation grew worse when Gwendolen arrived unexpectedly, eager to meet Cecily and solidify her engagement to Ernest. The two women met in the drawing room, their polite smiles masking curiosity. When each claimed to be engaged to Ernest Worthing, confusion turned to rivalry. Gwendolen, with her London sophistication, sniffed at Cecily's country charm, while Cecily retorted with youthful defiance. The men were summoned, and the truth spilled out. Neither Jack nor Algernon was named Ernest. The women, betrayed, retreated to the house, leaving Jack and Algernon to bicker over cucumber sandwiches and the mess they'd made. Eventually, Gwendolen and Cecily forgave their suitors, charmed by their devotion, but insisted they rectify the name issue. Jack and Algernon, desperate to please, arranged to be christened as Ernest by Dr. Chasuble that afternoon. Just as the plan seemed settled, Lady Bracknell arrived, summoned by Gwendolen. Her presence was like a storm cloud over the sunny estate. She reiterated her refusal to allow Gwendolen to marry Jack, a man of unknown origins, and was further appalled to learn of Algernon's engagement to Cecily. However, when she heard Cecily was an heiress with a fortune of £130,000, her tone softened. She quizzed Cecily, approving her wealth but hesitating over her lack of social connections. The final twist came when Lady Bracknell recognized Miss Prism, who was hovering nervously nearby. Demanding an explanation, she forced Prism to confess a scandal from 28 years ago. As a nursemaid for Lady Bracknell's sister, Prism had misplaced a baby boy in a handbag at Victoria Station, along with a 3-volume novel she'd written. Jack, realizing he was that baby, produced the very handbag from his study. Lady Bracknell confirmed it was hers, declaring Jack the lost son of her late sister, making him Algernon's older brother and a man of respectable lineage. Overjoyed, Jack learned his real name was Ernest John Moncrieff, fulfilling Gwendolen's romantic ideal. Lady Bracknell, now satisfied with his pedigree, consented to his engagement. Algernon and Cecily, their own vows renewed, planned their future, while Miss Prism and Dr. Chasuble exchanged shy promises of companionship. In the golden afternoon, Jack turned to Gwendolen, smiling. "I've realized, at last, the importance of being earnest.